two books, La Negra y Blanca, they have something in common, maybe more than something in common. They are what I call fictions, which means they're memoirs and they're fiction, and they're true and they're not true. And you know the old story, in order to really tell the truth of what happened, you have to imagine it. You have to imagine the language to tell it. And there was a very wonderful review of Farrell in which the reviewer said, you know, you can't really believe what's in this book. For example, she says, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. It's completely unbelievable. And I had to write back to her and say, there are many things in this book that are not true, but the things that you mentioned, they are true. So, the story that you will hear did happen. And the cover of the book is the painting by the girl, one of the very first times that we met. And I think we start and introduce her in her radiant self. This is from Pammy Ozaki. We were born graced by an innate ability to recognize beauty. Some concept of beauty resides in our imagination before we even know the word for beauty. This means that we are born with an innate ability to restore grace to the world in which we live, and to every living thing that lives with us, just by the way we choose to see. The moment it first occurred to the woman that she would bring the girl home was when the girl had climbed to a sturdy branch halfway up the sycamore and ensconced herself there, first removing, then dropping her yellow leather work boots, and then her socks, stretched out like lilies at their tops, fluorescent lime green no less. The girl wrapped what looked like prehensile toes around some of the finer twigs so that it appeared that she had grown into the tree, or the tree into her. When the woman was trying to discern the nature of the being she was examining, first she thought feral. Thinking feral, she thought wolf. The girl raised her mouth to the sky and opened it into a fluted goblet as if to catch rain. The sadness the girl exuded so like a perfume that one could not bear taking it in or being without it. Grief eased out into the air, extending itself in mineral colors like oil on water, the thinnest of diaphanous films, until it found its destination and wrapped itself about the living body, a sculpture in opal and mother of pearl. So many days, the woman admitted she had been curious about grief, while most willing to avoid the textures of its mysteries. Climbing the tree had not been a thoughtless or impetuous action. The girl had taken a jew's harp, a handful of dried cranberries, a scrap of blue leather, feathers, a vial of silver and turquoise beads, a needle, some thread, other secret objects, some sacred, all carefully balanced in the lap of an oversized t-shirt that the girl turned alternately into a desk, a knapsack, a handkerchief for blowing her nose, while another t-shirt became a bandana, a snood, and a white banner that declared most adamantly, "I will not surrender." Closer scrutiny indicated, however, that this was not a wolf or a monkey person, nothing so close to human, or so diminished as to say humanoid, no proto-person. Nor was she any animal the woman could identify, but she was of another species, the woman thought, of another species altogether. The way the words fell together, something else she could not understand was presented to her mind. An animal of other species altogether, or, as she was only later to understand, the meaning of an animal of other species altogether. The stone fell with enough force that there was no doubt it had been aimed and thrown to land exactly 3 inches from the woman's foot. The girl was known to bite. A shapeshifter. I've got myself a shapeshifter, the woman thought. At first she was pleased, as if she had made a conquest, and then she was a bit ashamed of thinking she had triumphed. On cue, the girl sidled back and forth on the heavy limbs she had chosen as her perch. "Don't try to read my mind," the girl said. "I don't want to have to fill it with junk just to confuse you." The woman leaned back into the tree, contemplating the soft bowl formed by her own belly, thighs, and forearms. In her mind, her hand smoothed the clay, flicking drops of pure water onto flattened mud coils, until she was such a vessel that the girl would not be able to resist, and so she would climb down from the tree to curl into the artfully crafted nest, head in the woman's lap. And then, if the woman was careful enough, she would raise her arm, but not so much for the girl to fear a blow, and would place it on the girl's long, shining black hair, braided with the leaves and blue feathers she had gathered from the sycamore, and stroke her hair. Of course, it happened exactly when she was caught in such an idyllic reverie, when she was lost in fantasies of her own irresistible benevolence, to nurture without altering, to interact without affecting, to touch without marking, to offer without wanting, to protect without domesticating, to listen without intruding, to extend without penetrating, to enact her unique and exemplary ability to tame the wild without taming the wild, that the girl let loose with a pungent yellow stream of urine that was not designed to miss the mark. Now the girl was here, and it was nothing like what the woman had expected. It was not a professional situation. Never had been, and never, she faltered, but couldn't deny her own convictions. Never should have been. What the woman thought, if the way that Azul was living was not proof that she was shattered, was not a symptom of being out of her mind, was not a sign that she was crazy or crazed by the circumstances of her life, what if she was not acting this way in response to the enormity of her pain? What if she was in great pain and still Azul had not been acting out? What if Azul's behavior was not aberrant? What if healing was not modulating or diminishing or removing those behaviors by relieving or reliving what she had suffered in the past? Yes, the girl had suffered. So what? Now, that wasn't the direction either. Yes, the girl had suffered. Yes, her past had been dreadful. Yes, the girl was howling and trembling, like Timber did, in the face of what? In the face of circumstances that impinged upon his spirit, that limited or endangered Wolf in the world. That's what made him howl with grief. Otherwise, the howl was an extreme aria of joy, a paean to beauty, an extended, exultant vowel climbing solo or in concert heavenward. hoping that the girl would no longer howl or would not live in trees, might not be a sensible goal of healing. Maybe healing lay elsewhere. Maybe the girl's soul was seeking the right perch, a nightingale singing her heart out, or a wild creature unimpeded by civilization howling her heart out, a white wolf at the peak of a snow mountain whose far vision still encountered deep blue shadows cast on pristine white. Maybe healing need not and would not occur in the girl, but between the girl and the woman, by compelling, calling forth, reinforcing, establishing a little world they could both inhabit safely, happily.